Hello. In the journey of life, in the process of achieving any goal, in the process of doing anything worthwhile, failure is an integral part. I'm sure you'll agree with what I've just said. And when you encounter failure, what happens to you? So, in this video, I'm going to share with you certain behaviors which are demonstrated by people who handle failure differently. And the category that I'm talking about is one is called failing backwards. That means after the failure, you get stuck and you remain there. And the second category that I'm talking about is failing forward. That means even after the failure, that person is bringing up himself or herself to move ahead further. So let us start looking at what are the differences which are demonstrated by each one of them in a given situation. So first one is when failure happens and people who are failing backwards, they tend to blame others. Their finger is always pointing towards someone or something or situation. That is what they attribute their failure to. They believe that all the failures that they are encountering is because of someone other than themselves. So this is the people failing backwards. What about people who are failing forwards? They take complete responsibility for their failures. Classic example that comes to my mind here is Edison. How many times he failed in creating different inventions. And every time he would say, now I know that this is one another way in which I'll not be able to achieve my goal. And there are multiple other examples in the world who continue to move ahead as and when they encountered failure. And that will be possible only when you are ready to take complete responsibility for the failure that you have encountered. Second difference that comes up is people who fail backwards, they keep on repeating mistakes. Failure happens because there is some missing piece that may be called as a mistake. And people who are failing backwards, they keep on repeating the same mistake again and again. But people who fail forward, they tend to learn from mistakes. They examine the whole journey, they examine the whole data which is available to them after they have encountered failure, and they draw lessons from them, insights from them, so that they may not be repeated and they are able to prevent them when they are making their next attempt. That is the second difference. Third important difference that comes up is accepting status quo. People who fail backwards, they tend to accept status quo. Now that it has happened, there is nothing else that is likely to change, and they stay there. But people who tend to fail forward, they challenge their assumptions. Whatever has brought them to a given situation, they start challenging the assumptions, and only by challenging the assumptions, they are able to derive their lessons, and only then they are able to make amends in their next attempt. Next important difference that comes up is people who are failing backwards, they get limited by their experiences, their past experiences. For example, in the journey of climbing Mount Everest, if someone has failed, that person will start defining himself or herself from that past experience, and that is what creates limitation in terms of making the next attempt. Assuming that now it will not be possible. But people who are failing forward, they are taking new initiatives on a continuous basis because they know if they limit themselves, there is nothing that can happen to their lives, which they'll be happy about. So they keep on taking new initiatives, and that is how they keep on producing new results and new outcomes. Next important difference that comes up is when a failure happens, a person who tends to fail backwards, that person starts labeling himself or herself as I am failure. And that's something I always feel afraid of. The moment you label yourself something like I am failure, I believe there is no one who can help such a person, because that label shows up here. But people who are failing forward, they are always saying that there is something that did not work. They go back to the drawing board and start afresh, looking at every step. Let's take the classic example of the space journey that this world has traveled through. How many times those failures have been encountered, whether it is going to Mars or whether it is going to Moon or whether it is going to the space station, failures have been encountered by the world. But is it not true that mankind has been able to do a lot by reaching out to the space, and a lot of progress that has happened is because we have satellites in the space. So people who are failing forward, they are always saying, let me go back to the drawing board and let me check what is it that could have been missing. And the last difference that comes between people who are failing backwards and forwards is people who fail backwards, they tend to quit. They give up. They give up very easily. And after giving up, they go back to their comfort zone, and that's how their life just goes. And the set of people who are failing forward, they are persevering. They keep on going, they keep on going, they keep on going, they keep on making the next attempt, and ultimately they are able to demonstrate to the world the kind of successes they achieve and they create. And not only that, the kind of difference that they make to the world by their achievements, that's even more significant. So ask yourself, whenever you encounter failure, what tends to happen to you? What is the kind of behavior that you demonstrate? And if any of these areas, there is a possibility that you are slipping towards failing backwards, just examine what is it that you can do to move ahead. Drop that particular mindset and start progressing again. I'll keep on sharing more insights and ideas about helping you to move ahead in your life. So I wish you all the best.